Welcome to 6 Gun Guitars Luthier Lessons video series. We're going to continue the shellac tutorial on how to French polish. The initial coat that I did on the very first wash coat for the guitar came out pretty nice. It's been dry for a couple hours now. It has a little bit of sheen to it. You can kind of see from the side, where we started, with the dull wood, and now there's a little bit of sheen on there. Now again, this is just a wash coat, and the purpose of this is just to lay down a little shellac so that when we use the pumice, we can go ahead and grind that shellac up and grind up some wood, and it'll mix together and fill the pores. So that's what we're going to do now. I covered in an earlier video how to make a French polishing rubber. So make one of those up, and I'll give you a quick rundown again on it when we do it. And then we're going to take some pumice. This is going to be 4F pumice. There's 2F and 4F. The 4F is the finer of the two. That's the one I've been using, the one that works out pretty good. So there's the guitar. Here's what the pumice looks like. I got the Balin's variety, and that's the 4F stuff. Again, this is going to be, actually I'm sorry, I've got 2F pumice. That's a complete misspeak there. The 2F stuff is just a little bit rougher, and that's fine. This is the medium. Like I said, it works out well for me. It's what I've been using. So this is my pumice, and a little bit of denatured alcohol in a little squeeze bottle. The squeeze bottle is really handy just for dispensing them. I picked these up at Walmart. You can pick up bottles at Woodcraft just the same. And then I made a special rubber that's just going to be for the pumice, because when we introduce the pumice to it, pumice is an abrasive. It's what they used before they had sandpaper. So when you get pumice all over this thing, you can't French polish with it anymore. So all it is just a balled up piece of cotton, like I said in the previous video, wrapped up over another cotton t-shirt and balled in together. And that's what we're going to use to fill the grain, and that's what we're going to use to put our pumice and our denatured alcohol on. So I'm going to take you over to the bench now and show you how to do that. And again, we're just going to run through and we're going to fill the pores now. The shellac, the initial layers have dried, so now we're ready to pore fill. Pore filling is your very first or your very second step to getting a completely mirror flat French polish. If you don't have the pores filled, you're not going to have a flat finish. It's not going to be quite as shiny, and we definitely want shiny. So let's head over to the bench and we'll start filling the pores. The guitar is ready. Again, wash coat already laid down. Got the pumice, and what I did was I just laid down a piece of paper. In this case it's just sandpaper, and all I'm going to do is just dispense a little bit of pumice out onto the sandpaper. You don't need a ton. You just need a very, very little bit. In fact, the least you can use, the better. Now, I've got the guitar situated on this piece of plastic so I don't mar the front of it. And what you want to do is you want to start in very, very small little sections, and you want to work one section until it's totally flat at a time. So I'm going to take my rubber, and I'm going to dispense some denatured alcohol on there. I just want to wet the surface. So I got some denatured alcohol on there, nice and wet. A little bit of sawdust on there, get rid of that. And I want to get down to the shellac, and I get down to the pumice, so I just want to take a tiny little bite out of the pumice, and you can kind of see the little gray spot on there. There's pumice on there. I'm going to go ahead and rub that in. Take another tiny little bite, rub that in, and now I can feel that we've got a little bit of abrasive on there. So I'm just going to start in this corner and just go ahead and start going in little circles. And what that's going to start doing is the alcohol is going to start mixing in with the little bit of shellac that's on there, and the pumice is going to start sanding both of them. It's going to sand the wood, and it's going to sand the shellac, and it's going to make a little paste, and that's what's actually going to fill your pores. So this is a long, long, long procedure. So you just kind of sit here and keep on going until it gets done. Now you'll notice you start to dry out a little bit. You can see from the rubber that you're actually picking up wood because you're getting color, which is good. So you definitely want to keep this thing nice and wet, so that way you get enough of it to transfer to the surface to reactivate some of the shellac that's on there, so that way it mixes again with those wood fibers and fills in your holes. So I'm just going to work this small section for a few minutes. And I'm not going to make you sit through that whole thing, but I'm going to work this section for a few minutes and get it down as flat as I possibly can. And then I'm going to move on to another section. And once I'm through with all those sections, I'm going to come back and hold it against a glancing light and try to see if I've got any spots that are missing and that aren't quite filled all the way. And you can go back and we can fill those in. But that's essentially grain filling. I'm just going to keep going over and over and over again, and I can already see that it is starting to smooth out a little bit, like versus over here where I can see some holes. I'm seeing that those holes are getting pretty full over here, which is good. You know, that's the game we're in. We want to get it as flat as possible so we can move on when we put on the final French polish. It doesn't have any defects or any dips or anything like that. So again, just keep on going in a circular fashion. If you notice you don't quite have too much abrasion going on, you can go ahead and take another little bite of the pumice, get it on there, rub it in really good. You know, go ahead and don't be afraid to use some denatured alcohol. And then kind of come back on there and keep going. Now as you go, you might eat through the pad, just because again you're using an abrasive now, so you're essentially sanding. So what's going to happen is you eat through the pad, just go ahead and move it to another spot on the rubber, and you'll be able to wrap it around again and you'll have a fresh patch. No reason to throw out the entire thing, just move it around and keep on going that way. But again, I'm not going to make you sit through this entire process. I'm long-winded as it is. So that is essentially the finishing process, and I'll come back and show you again when I'm most of the way done. And if you have any questions on this, again, shoot me an email, sixgunguitars@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to help you out and do the best I can so you can get a French polish on there that looks great. One last quick little note on this, and it is kind of hard to see, I know, but I've been going on this for several minutes now, and this end right here is completely filled. It looks nice, it's smooth, you can tell the grain is filled. I'm going to try to turn on a light here. Yeah, you can't really tell too much from there. This side isn't as good as this side, but you know, we're getting full over here and getting all of that paste kind of worked into the grain. There's another method for doing this that's non-traditional, and I think it's a little bit easier than going through all this with the filling, and that's to apply several layers of shellac on here. And the shellac itself is going to fill the pores and also raise everything up, and then what you're going to do is come back and sand it and bring everything back down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to apply a couple layers of shellac to this, and I'm going to build up a bit of a thicker layer on here, just because the sanding does take time. Again, that's the traditional approach, but there are other ways to do it. And once you get enough shellac on there that you can sand it back down to where it's totally level and all the pores are filled, you can then use the French polishing method to build up your sheen. And that's the method that I'm going to do, just because, I mean, this alone took 15 minutes. And to finish the rest of the guitar is going to take another hour. And we're just on the back. So, I mean, you got the sides, you got everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down a few layers of thicker shellac now, about a 3-pound cut. I'm going to lay down several layers on here, and what's going to happen is it's going to fill the pores, but it's also going to fill everything else too. It's going to get a little too high, so you're still going to see dimples. So what I'm going to do after that is come back and sand all those dimples out. And after the coats are on there and dried, I'll bring you back and I'll show you how to do that. And again, it's just a different method, a different way of doing the same thing. You're really just filling the grain, getting everything full and nice so it's nice and flat. So when you come back to do the French polish, you actually get a really good nice shine out of it.